We're on a record in clause number 326694, the state of Texas versus David Montague. Mr. Montague, would you please come forward? Mr. Montague, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Montague, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Montague, you may put your hand down. How you doing, Mr. Montague?
Good. You?
Yes, I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Montague, the information alleges that on or about November 16th of 2019, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of assault. Mr. Montague, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes.
And to this charge, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No conflict.
Now, you're pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes.
Mr. Montague, I have before me what is marked as State's Exhibit number 1. Mr. Montague, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And on page 2 of this same document, Mr. Montague, there are 2 sets of initials. The first set is on a line that's checked nolla contendere, and the next set of initials is on a line below the paragraph that is titled Discovery Admonishment, and the line reads, I do not request discovery of the evidence. I waive my right to request discovery in this case and choose to enter a plea of guilty or no contest. Mr. Montague, are these your initials?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of the same document, Mr. Montague, there's a signature above the line that says defendant that purports to be your signature. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
On the next document, which is titled the Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, there's a signature on the line that says defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
Now, there are 2 boxes that's checked here. The first box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes.
The second box states that you're waiving, which means you're giving up your right to appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Mr. Montague, I also have 2 other documents here. The first document is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendant Without an Attorney. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature at the bottom that says above, the next to the line that says defendant?
Yes, sir.
And are these your initials on the line that states, I want to waive my right to an attorney and represent myself?
Yes, sir.
Have another document here. This document is titled Waiver of Counsel for Purposes of Entering a Guilty Plea or Proceeding the Trial. Mr. Montague, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is that your signature above the line that says defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Montague, prior to signing and initialing all of these documents, did you have an opportunity to read the document?
Yes, sir.
And did you read the document?
Yes.
And did you understand what you read?
Yes, I did.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibits number 1 and State's Exhibit number 2. Would you like to offer State's Exhibit 1 and 2?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Montague, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1 and State's Exhibit number 2. The state would like to offer these documents or use these documents as evidence in your case. State's Exhibit number 1 is the document that have your initials on page 2 and your signature on page 3. State's Exhibit number 2 is the probable cause affidavit, commonly referred to as the police report. State would like to use these documents as evidence in your case. Is it all right for the state to use these documents as evidence in your case?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no objections. State's Exhibits number 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Montague, is there any evidence that you are currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. Montague, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea of no contest and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
The state is offering 180 days, probated over 1 year, a $500 fine minus 2 days jail credit, plus court costs, 50 hours of community service, and no contact with Blake Lopez.
um, he, 2 days credit is going to what is finding fees. Yeah, I think you have to put it on the judgment too. Okay. Mr. Monte, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in jail. However, you will not have to serve any time in jail on this case because you will be placed on probation for 1 year. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 plus court costs of $352, which comes to a total of $852. You also be required to pay probation fees of $60 each month and a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. Your total monthly installments will come to $155. Would you be able to pay the $155 each month?
I should, yes.
Now, you'll also be required to perform 60 hours of community service. You cannot have any contact with Blake Lopez, and the 2 days that you spent in jail will be used as credit toward your fine and court costs. And you must adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of probation. Mr. Monte, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes,
Do you accept the state's offer?
yes.
Okay, Mr. Monte, I'll follow the plea bargaining agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Monte, you stand on the X before the clerk, right here, before the clerk, and then you follow her directions. Once she's finished with you, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day.
You go.
Thank you. Okay, we're on the record in cause number 328302, the state of Texas versus Cody Powell. Mr. Powell, would you please come forward? Mr. Powell, would you please stand on the X and raise your right hand? Mr. Powell, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may put your hand down. How you doing, Mr. Powell?
Trying to make it.
Okay, just hang in there. Mr. Powell, the information alleges that on or about October 23rd of 2020, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of evading arrest detention. Do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Powell, how do you plead guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
I'm not trying to fight this.
Okay, Mr. Powell, I have before me what is marked as State's Exhibit Number 1. Mr. Powell, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 2 of this same document, Mr. Powell, there are two sets of initials. One set is on a line that's checked no contender, which means no contest. And the other set of initials is on a line below the paragraph of discovery that's titled Discovery Admonishment. And the line states that I do not request discovery of the evidence. I waive my right to request discovery in this case and chose to enter a plea of guilty or no contest. Are these your initials?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of the same document, there's a signature at the top of the document above the line that says defendant that purports to be your signature. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
On the next document, which is the trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, on the line that says defendant, there's a signature that purports to be your signature. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
Now, there's one box that I'm gonna check off another. There's be two boxes that's checked. The first box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Second box states that you're waiving, which means you're giving up your right to appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. I do.
Also, I have before me two documents. The first document is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendant Without an Attorney. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir. I do.
And at the bottom of this document, there's a signature next to a line that says defendant, and there are a set of initials that purports to be your initials on a line that states, I want to waive my right to an attorney and represent myself. Is this your signature and are these your initials?
Yes, sir. It is.
I also have a document before me that's titled Waiver of Counsel for Purposes of Entering a Guilty Plea or Proceeding to Trial. You recognize this document?
Yes, sir. I do.
And is that your signature on the line that says defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Powell, prior to signing and initialing all of these documents, the ones on the tablet and the ones on the paper,
Yes, sir.
did you have an opportunity to read the documents?
Yes, sir. I do.
And did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 2. State, you like to offer States 2?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Powell, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 2.
Yes, sir.
This document is the probable cause affidavit. Is commonly referred to as a police report.
Yes, sir.
The state would like to use this document as evidence against you in your case. Is it all right for the state to use this document as evidence in your case?
May I see that?
Yes. Okay, now, Mr. Powell, do you object to the state using this document as evidence against your case? Okay, no objections.
No.
State's Exhibit Number 1 and State's Exhibit Number 2 will be admitted. Mr. Powell, is there any evidence that you are currently mentally incompetent to stand trial? Is there any evidence that you are currently mentally incompetent to stand trial? Okay. Mr. Powell, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
The state is offering 7 days jail time, credit for time served, taxing and retiring court costs.
Mr. Powell,
Yes, sir.
the state is offering that you serve 7 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you would not have to serve 7 days in the Jefferson County Jail because you've already served 7 days in Jefferson County Jail. Therefore, you'll be given credit for time served.
Thank you, sir.
The court cost in this case is $337. You would not have to pay the court costs either because the time that you spent in jail has already paid it off. Therefore, the court costs will be taxed and retired.
May I-
Mr.
may I ask you a question?
Paul, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir, I do, but I've got a question on that. Does that 300 something go to a credit bureau? Cause that's what happened.
No, this is, this is your punishment.
Oh, yes, sir.
This is already, the $337 is already paid off.
Okay, yes, sir.
So it's already paid, your jail time has already paid it off.
Okay,
So it's not owed.
okay,
You don't owe the county or anything because you've already paid it off by
yes, sir.
the time that you spent in jail. Do you understand that?
I do now.
Okay, so, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you, think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
Do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Paul, please stand on right here in front of this lady on the X, follow her directions, and once she finish with your case, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day.